The case file was thicker than I expected. Burke pulled it from the archives himself, a cardboard box labeled Hartley, Emma in faded marker, stored in the basement of the station where the cold cases lived. He set it on the conference room table and stepped back like it might bite. "I've been through this 100 times, he said. "Haven't looked at it in years." Fresh eyes. "Yeah." He didn't sound convinced. I opened the box. The smell hit me first: old paper, aging ink, the particular mustiness of something that had been sealed away too long. Inside were folders, photographs, evidence bags, interview transcripts, autopsy reports. 20 years of investigation compressed into cardboard. I started with the basics. The incident report, written by the first officer on scene. The photographs of the alley behind the cannery, dark, wet, industrial, and the photographs of Emma. I made myself look. She was on her back, arms at her sides, eyes open. Brown hair spread around her head like a halo. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, casual clothes, nothing that suggested she'd been planning anything special. Just a normal night that had ended in the worst possible way. 3 stab wounds to the torso, no defensive wounds on her hands. Either she hadn't seen it coming, or she'd known her killer well enough not to fight. I set the photographs aside and moved to the witness statements. There weren't many. No one had seen anything. No one had heard anything. The alley was in a dead zone, too far from the main streets for foot traffic, too close to the industrial sector for residents. "Who found her?" I asked. "Dock worker, guy named Mike Parsons. He's dead now, heart attack, 2018. Burke pulled a chair over and sat across from me. He was walking home from a late shift, cut through the alley as a shortcut, said he almost tripped over her. "Did you clear him?" "First thing. Solid alibi for the hours before. He was at the docks with 3 other guys, all of them confirmed it." Burke shook his head. "He was just wrong place, wrong time." I moved to the next section, Emma's background, her life laid out in police documents. Age at death, 18. Occupation, data entry clerk, Data Core Technologies. She'd started 6 months before she died, her first real job after community college. The pay wasn't great, but it was steady. She'd been saving up according to the notes. Wanted to leave the island eventually, wanted to see the world. My hand went to my neck. I forced it back down. "Data Core," I said. "Tell me about it." "Small company, maybe 50 employees. Did data processing, record management, that kind of thing." Burke rubbed his face. "They were a subsidiary of a larger firm. Back then, I didn't think much of it." "A subsidiary of whom?" Burke met my eyes. "Pardilu Industries." The confirmation settled into my chest like a stone. So Emma worked for Victor, just like Megan worked for Victor. For companies he owned, there's a difference. "Is there?" Burke didn't answer. I dug deeper into the file. Emma's personnel records from Data Core, her start date, her job description, her performance reviews. All normal, all unremarkable. A young woman doing entry-level work, nothing that should have gotten her killed. But then I found the incident report. It was buried in the miscellaneous section, almost like someone had tried to lose it. A complaint from Emma's supervisor, dated 3 weeks before her death. Unauthorized access to confidential employee files. Emma had been looking at records she wasn't supposed to see. What was she looking for? I asked. I never found out. Data Core closed ranks after she died, cited privacy concerns, refused to turn over specifics. Their lawyers were almost as aggressive as Victor's. "But you must have theories." Burke was quiet for a moment, then he said, "I always thought it was about the affair. Emma finding out about her mother and Victor, trying to dig up proof. Maybe she found something, maybe she confronted someone." He shrugged, but I could never confirm it. I stared at the incident report, 3 weeks before her death, unauthorized access, confidential files. What had Emma found? I pulled out my notebook and started mapping connections. On one side, Emma Hartley, Data Core Technologies, data processing and records management. Pardilu Industries subsidiary. On the other side, Megan Collins, Algo Tech, algorithm development and machine learning. Also a Pardilu subsidiary. 2 women, 2 companies, same parent corporation. Both worked with data in some capacity. Both were killed the same way. "What if it's not about the affair?" I said slowly. Burke leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The affair gives Victor motive for Emma. Maybe she found out, maybe she threatened to expose him. But what about Megan? She wasn't connected to my family. She wasn't investigating Victor personally." I tapped my notebook. What if there's something else? Something both women stumbled into through their work? Like what? I don't know yet. I stared at the map I'd drawn, the lines connecting companies, victims, the man at the center of it all. But Data Core did data processing. Algotech did algorithms. Both worked for Victor's surveillance division, right? Building systems that collect and analyze information. So what if Emma and Megan both saw something they weren't supposed to see? Something in the data, in the systems, in the way the companies operated. I met Burke's eyes. What if they were killed because of what they knew, not who they were connected to? Burke sat with that for a moment. His face was hard to read. It's a theory, he said finally. A good one, maybe, but we'd need access to the systems, the code, the internal operations. Pardalou's companies don't exactly open their doors for police inquiries. Then we find another way in. How? I looked at the case file spread across the table. 20 years of dead ends, walls, blocked doors. Maybe the answer wasn't in the file at all. Maybe it was in the work Emma and Megan had been doing, the systems they'd helped build, the data they'd helped process. I need to understand what these companies actually do, I said. Not the press release version, the technical version. What Algotech builds, what Data Core built, how it all fits together. You know anyone in tech? I thought about it. My years in the city, the cases I'd worked, the people I'd met. Maybe, I said. Let me make some calls. Burke nodded and stood. I'll leave you to it. The file's yours as long as you need it. He paused at the door. Sarah, I looked up. I hope you find something, he said quietly. God knows I tried. Then he was gone, and I was alone with Emma's case file and 20 years of unanswered questions. I pulled the map closer and started drawing new lines. Data Core, Algotech, Pardalou Industries. Somewhere in that web, there was an answer. I just had to find it.